Okay. So tonight I want to take a look at the camera and cursor bug that we discovered the other night. That will probably require a little bit of thought, because this is, at least to me, kind of tricky to reason about. So I picked up a Rockcom tablet and hooked it up to Xernal or Xernal or whatever here, so we can figure this out. So tonight we'll probably just be working on this thing, because this is likely a hard problem, at least relatively speaking. We might as well, just for the hell of it, make sure the game didn't burn down somehow since we last looked at it, though we haven't had any real problems with that so far. Let's make sure we can move our guys here. Yeah, it kind of looks right. And then the bug we are trying to fix, we noticed that if you move the cursor up, it's fine. If you move it, or I should say vertically, it's fine. Horizontally, it's fine. But if you move it diagonally, you can slip out of bounds. So that's what we want to fix, and we've determined that that problem is caused by some poor logic in our cursor update method. And I haven't looked at this really in weeks. I wrote the cursor update and the game cursor update and camera update methods weeks ago and haven't looked at them since. So the first step is probably going to be to remember how any of this works, because I don't. So I guess let's take a look at that now. We're in a new branch here, so we can hack on this freely without fear of breaking anything. What we don't want is for the camera to stay focused directly on the cursor, because that would be annoying. What we do want is for the camera to start following the cursor only when it approaches kind of an invisible boundary. You can see that working there. So we're not entirely off base with our implementation, but we do want to fix this bug. Something I never liked when I wrote this initially was I'm tracking the direction the cursor is moving, just as a string. It would be nice if I didn't have to track that. I don't know if I do or don't have to do this, though, because again, the motivation there is to get this behavior whereby the cursor is allowed to move back and forth within the screen without causing the camera to move until it's hitting an edge. So anyway, what are we doing here? If button 0, so we're testing on every pass of the game loop whether a directional key is being held down, and if self.cell.x is greater than 0, whereby self refers to the cursor. And that greater than 0 check is because we don't want to drift out of bounds to the left. Yeah. So if we're pressing left and we're not on the left edge, and we're going left, no. If we're pressing left and we're not on the left edge, annotate that we're moving left. And then this thing here, this self.button 0 plus 1 thing, I really didn't like this, but the whole point of this thing was, yeah, I'm manually debouncing these switches here, because if you use the button P method that Pickaway provides, which does the switch debouncing for you, I found the scroll rate to be too slow. So this is a confusing mechanism and I don't like it. But that's what this is. This is manually implementing this. I shouldn't say debouncing, it's manually re-implementing this repetition on the directional buttons, and it's allowing the key press to pass through every 4 frames. And then the logic for these is more or less the same, except we're checking different edges of the map. And we've swapped less than with greater than in some places, but the logic is effectively the same everywhere. And really, despite the fact that I'm not in love with tracking the direction, I don't think the bug is actually here. The bug well, maybe it is. Because we determined last time, oh yeah, the bug kind of is here. Actually, and it's because self.direction is ultimately going to have one value, even though two buttons, let's say, may be held down simultaneously. So the bug actually kind of is here. So this, okay, oh God, I don't like this, but I mean, the trivial solution to this, I guess, is instead of tracking this in one variable, we just track 4 variables, and it's not, I mean, it's not good, but that would probably solve the problem, I think. So we could do something like, instead of direction stop, we could do do I want to call this direction? What do I want to call this? Thanks, Jet. I found some like collection of it's like a 10-hour mix or something of like the best Commodore 64 songs or whatever. So I figured put that on, might give me some inspiration. How's it going, man? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? I'm just gonna do this the gross way, I think. Let's try this, and let's just call this direction, and we'll bike shed ourselves later, I guess. So let's just say I'm doing pretty well. I appreciate it. We're trying to fix a bug in this game that we found last time. I don't know if you've been here before or not, but I'm working on a Pico 8 game that's kind of sort of inspired by like Advance Wars or, you know, Fire Emblem or any of the kind of classical turn-based tactical games. The bug we have, here let's jump to map 3. The bug we have is that if you move the cursor vertical, you're fine. If you move it horizontal, you're fine. But if you move it diagonally, you can slip out of bounds, and that's obviously not what we want. So we're trying to fix that. Pico 8 is a fairly constrained development environment. It's like an emulator for hardware that never actually existed. So it's kind of a neat programming challenge because it's, I don't want to say it's close to the metal, because there is not and never was any metal. Oh man, you don't know, okay, so yeah, I'm kind of a boomer, and I guess Advance Wars is old, but Fire Emblem is the new one anyway. The new one on Switch is from like last year or something. So I don't know. Maybe you got a chance for that. As you're elder, then I'll tell you, if you like those tactical turn-based games, I thought Advance Wars was like one of the best ever. Or XCOM is another one, even though it's, you know, qualitatively kind of feels different, but it's ultimately the same fundamental mechanic. But anyway, yeah, do recommend if you ever want to do a bit of archaeology, I guess, video game archaeology now. So let's see, I guess let's just do left is, I think we have, yeah, false. Let's just do this. This will be gross, but it'll probably solve the problem. We'll track individually whether each key is being pressed, and then instead of this, we'll do that. I think this will actually solve the problem. I expected to have to do some kind of math and graphing and thinking, so I wired this all up, but we probably won't even need to do it. Yeah, that's cool, man. So you're trying to get into programming, you think? What kind of stuff are you interested in? Like, you know, operating system stuff, or mobile stuff, or web stuff, or game stuff, or what are your interests? I ask for what it's worth. I used to teach programming at a university, so I'm not saying I'm an expert at this, but might be able to point you in some direction if you're interested in this kind of thing. The career path, you know, I apologize in advance for how this sounds, because it's kind of a useless answer, but really I would just follow your interests. I don't believe that it is possible to plot a linear path through the field and say, oh, you know, first you got to learn this, then you got to learn this, then you got to learn this, then you got to learn this. I would really just pick a project. Just think of some problem you want to solve, some, you know, thing you want to create, right? And then just go build it. And you do that for 10 or 20 years continually, and you'll end up pretty good. You build a computer, never got nitty-gritty. Yeah, nitty-gritty. Yeah. For what it's worth, my professional programming career started on the web, and if you just kind of want to like get your toes wet in the field, I think the web is probably a good place to start. And I say that because one, there's just a lot of interesting stuff happening on the web right now, really. You know, computer science moves fast, but I think the internet technology probably moves faster than anything else, for better or worse. The web stuff is just very practical. Like, you know, when you're, you know, older and trying to get a job and that kind of thing, you know, it's nice to be able to build yourself a website with your resume and your portfolio or your, you know, your open source work or whatever, and not have to rely on like, you know, Drupal or WordPress or Wix or something. It's nice to just be able to like properly build yourself something. Game screen is pretty fun, but yeah. So the working from home is absolutely something to value, especially right now. I'm sure grateful I can do it. I actually have worked from home full time since about 2007 or 8, with the exception of I got an on-site job end of last year, and then pretty shortly after I got that, we all went remote again because of COVID. So the remote work thing is a mixed bag. It depends on how, like, what your tolerance is for isolation, that kind of thing. I'm pretty introverted personally, so I actually like really enjoy this. I go out for lunch once a day to see a human face once every 24 hours or so, and that's about enough for me. But it's nice because you know, one, like, just like driving to work and stuff sucks and is a waste of time and puts wear and tear on your car and pumps carbon in the atmosphere, all this pointless shit, right? But beyond that, it's really nice to potentially get paid at a kind of a big city wage but live in a smaller town or whatever. Just financially can work out pretty well for you. You're very introverted. Yeah, cool. That's fairly common for a lot of programmers, and certainly very common for programmers that work remotely. So yeah, man, I would just find a project, you know, that you want to work on, something that you're interested in, something that motivates you, and then just start hacking on it. And, you know, if you can get a formal education in this, great. If you can't, that doesn't stop you. I mentioned that I used to teach this at a university, and I taught it at the master's level, but my formal education in college was in Asian studies. I don't have a computer science degree. I learned all this by Google and hacking on stuff, so you certainly can too if that's where your interests are. Did the stream freeze or something? My OBS guy here looks... My little preview screen froze. I don't know why. But yeah, man, I'd pick a project and get to hacking. That's my advice. And eventually you'll find where you want to land up, you know, in the field. Why did this preview freeze? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm relatively new to streaming, so I don't quite know what I'm doing here yet. I guess this doesn't matter. Okay, whatever. There we go. It's back. Okay. So let's see here. So we were hacking that out, and we're going to change this. Game.cursor.direction equals right. We just want this now to be direction.r .l .d and .u. That's cool, man. Yeah, if you're going to college, definitely take advantage of it. You know, it's hard to say if you're better off going into computer science or some other STEM field that you might get in, and you might do like enter in computers kind of sideways. Like I have a friend who's wanting to be a programmer but isn't going to college for computer science. He's going for astrophysics and just teaching himself to program, and his intention is to, you know, get his formal education into physics and then just learn the programming on his own and end up in some kind of computational science discipline or whatever. So you've got options. You're not strictly constrained to computer science, but there's certainly nothing wrong with straight up computer science either. Nothing wrong at all with that. Sometimes I wish I did that. I didn't really think I was going to end up in this career path. I kind of just landed here after college, sort of accidentally. I like it though. Okay, does that all seem right? Let's see what that does for us. Attempt to call the string value. Doesn't seem right. Unclose. So let's go to map 3 because this is where the problem is obvious. So vertical works. Horizontal works. Alright, diagonal works. Okay. So that was actually significantly simpler than I expected it to be going into this. I'm still not in love with this mechanism here. I'm not in love with this, but it's probably fine. Actually, I should probably consolidate these things because this is really... No, I should. These are frame counters. No, yeah, that's not at all the same thing. Yeah, the get bored to watch 10-hour tutorial videos. Sure, I understand that. You know, everyone's gonna have their own way to learn. What I tend to do when I'm picking up a new programming language or technology is I'll buy a book. Usually I'll buy a thin book, like O'Reilly is probably my favorite technical publisher, and that's probably a fairly common sentiment. And they tend to have books called, they have a series of books called In a Nutshell. So like if you want to learn, I think like on my shelf there I've got like Golang In a Nutshell and a bunch of these In a Nutshell books. And what they are, they're not exhaustive references on any topic, but it's like it says, it's in a nutshell, right? It's just a distillation of the most important basics to get started with some technology. So what I'll do is I'll pick up one of those books and read it or skim it, usually cover to cover, and then I'll just start hacking, because what I found is like you know, earlier in my career I would buy like the thick books, thinking you might as well start with a definitive reference or whatever, right? But I found that I'm really fairly awful at memorization, partly at least just due to discipline. Like I don't enjoy it. So I would rather get an introduction and then just start working, start solving the real problem, because for me, you know, the book introduction is helpful, but you don't, or at least I don't, really learn until I'm writing code and hitting compiler errors or whatever. So for what it's worth, that works for me. Small book, read it, pick a problem, get to work. And then, you know, as you encounter like little gaps in your knowledge, well, you know, then Google it or find some blog posts or you know, the YouTube videos or whatever. But again, for me, it's just quick primer, get to work, and then expanded resources if and only if they're necessary beyond that. And what I found is generally they're not. Once I kind of get the gist of the technology, I don't really care to learn every detail of it, because it's, you know, if I need that information, I'll inevitably learn it when I'm using the tech. And if I don't need it, I don't want to waste time learning it, you know. So for what it's worth, that's how I approach learning, you know, new technology. This is trivial, but let's just shorten direction to deer, because we, well, I don't know. Actually, let's shorten that to move, because we do have a hard character constraint we need to be mindful of. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, getting started is, it's usually the hardest part, I would say, and not knowing what you want to do is a hard problem too, because I mean there's no shortage of interesting tech out there to want to play with. So I mean, I guess all I would say is that, like, you know, if you pick anything and just start hacking on, especially, you know, where you're young, right? You've got time to figure this out. Don't feel bad if you pick up a project and play with it and don't finish it, because probably the move to make when you're young and before you go to school and stuff is just to try out as much of everything as you can, and inevitably you'll find you like, you know, some things better than others, right? And then you can start to specialize from there. But yeah, I don't think there's any one true path through the field or anything like that. And like I said, you know, not only did I not expect to end up in computer science at all, but I've also taken kind of a winding path through it myself. You know, like I started mostly doing, actually I started doing like a little bit of graphic design, and then front-end web development, and then back-end web development. And then I did information security and penetration testing for a while, and still sort of do. And then, you know, systems programming and whatever. So yeah, you're gonna take a winding road. But yeah, I would just try stuff out, you know, see what you enjoy. You can't really go wrong when you're young. You just gotta explore around. The other thing you could do too is, you know, I'm a big advocate for getting involved in open source, and you could just jump on GitHub or whatever and just kind of click around, look for open source projects that interest you, and just help somehow. You know, there are a lot of projects out there that you don't even need like a lot of technical knowledge to help with. You know, there's people that need documentation written or bugs tested or whatever, or graphic design or something. So if you're not quite ready to take on your own project, you could look for someone else and find something interesting and you know, contribute however you feel you could. That's an option. Open source is fun too. It's a way to get, you know, experience in the field, but it's also just rewarding to see like your work, you know, valued. No, man, not a typo. It's a 660 Ti. I rebuilt all of the hardware on this rig recently, and the only difficulty I had in doing it was like it was a huge pain finding Linux drivers for 660 Ti, because I guess that thing is like 8 years old, 10 years old, something like that. My thing is like, I wish I had another camera, and I'll probably set one up eventually, but the rig is actually pretty cool. I've got 4 monitors here. The one you can see on screen is like my primary. Yeah, they're old as hell. The one you can see is my primary, but then I've got another one above that I've got OBS on that sort of mirrors the bottom one, and then on the sides I have 2 flanking monitors and portrait orientation. So it's cool, but you know, the thing is like that 660, there's something about those things, they punched way above their weight class, because I can run multiple streams at 1080, 1080p. These are all 1080p monitors, but I can run multiple streams. I can do whatever, and this card's fine with it. And I don't really do a lot of gaming on PC anyway. I'm a filthy casual now, so I mostly play Switch. Yeah, we're in 3K now. When they are available, I'll probably try to buy an NVIDIA 3080, but I've given up hope on finding that until like February or March or something. So what I think I'll probably do is wait until Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, and if that's cool, you know, if the reviews are good, then I'll probably upgrade the GPU. Because then all the hardware should be pretty solid. But yeah, right now it's sort of funny though, because I got this like 12 or 16 core whatever CPU in here. Thing's pretty badass, and then this like ancient GPU. But it gets the job done. It gets the job done. I'm only running Vim here anyway, so it's not like there's a lot of work to do. So okay, that didn't take nearly as long to fix as I expected. Let's take a look at this diff. I thought we were gonna have to do math and stuff, but lucked out there. I think that's fine. Oh, I always forget to run make. Let's make sure formatter didn't burn this guy down. Shouldn't have. Yeah, it all looks good. Okay. Well, I thought that was going to take my whole night up here, but now we need to figure out what to work on next. I guess we can start thinking about animating our unit movements. Or I guess we also need to do the like the title screen menu. That'd be something to think about. There too, I need to think a little bit because we obviously need a menu in the title screen. You know, to choose one player, two player, skirmish, whatever. But in the actual core gameplay loop, there's going to be a little bit of menuing. And in fact, I think the core gameplay mechanic, the balancing of power, will occur in a menu. Though I still need to give a lot more thought to how that actually will work, because up until now I've been thinking about, you know, plumbing exclusively, more or less. I haven't thought too much about the mechanics of the gameplay beyond the core idea that I have. So that's something to think about. I guess let's just take a look for now at unit animation, because that's easy to understand what we want. So what we have now is I click on this guy, and I click, and he teleports. And that isn't bad. But I think it would be better if he moved. Maybe that's worth thinking about. I'm pretty sure I want to actually animate that though. I don't know why I wouldn't. Other than, you know, like my laziness and the relative simplicity of the code. Another thing to think about too, which will intersect with this topic, is that when we have an actual two-player game loop, we're probably going to want to move the camera from like the player 1 cursor position back to the player 2 cursor position, or something like that. Like when, like the way this is right now is I move this guy, and then it would be player 2's turn. So it seems like this cursor should jump back here, or wherever, like the last moved unit or something. And that we would want to animate. Maybe it's worth getting that done before doing the unit animation, because there are two things we're going to have to do. You know, one is set some kind of flag or something stating that, or tracking when animations are occurring, because we don't want the player to have control during that time, or at least I think we don't. Oh man, this is the Outrun soundtrack. This is good shit here. I just play a hell of a lot of this game. So for right now, the only way the player interacts with the with the map is right here in this cursor file. So without knowing anything else, I think we know that it's probably necessary to have a lock property that we can use to lock cursor control. Okay. So when the turn ends, see, we're gonna want to extract this logic into its own method soon, I think. We're gonna want to do something like something like this. We want to get a cursor position. We're going to want to get a unit position for the other player and set the cursor there. So, I don't know if this lock is in the right spot because I feel like cursor and camera probably need to operate on this same lock. So the camera can lock the player out of the cursor until it finishes animating to where it wants to be, and then unlocks control. So I might move that up a layer just to like game dot lock, game dot player dot lock. I don't know. Player lock might be sensible. I don't know if I have a player. Yeah, I don't actually have that table. Maybe I need one? Hmm. The other question is, do I really want to do any of this? That's another thing. I might be preparing to write a lot of code for functionality I'm not even sure of yet. So maybe I should just hold off on that and actually work on the menu or something, because I mean, I know I want a menu, so that effort won't be wasted. Let's back out of this decision for now. Well, yeah. Let's put that on hold and figure out how we're going to do this menuing thing. I haven't looked at this in a long time. I don't remember how this works. So we have our main loop. Screen.update. And we have those screens, and this is our title screen. Okay. There will probably be a better way to do this, but let's do this for now. Let's say how did I do this? Oh, wait. Okay, that was just dumb. Yeah, okay. I need to do that. It's dumb. So, for now, let's do this. It's alright. Okay. Oh, and these are in arbitrary order. Okay, well, anyway, that's about the hour I was going to spend tonight, so we'll just leave this where it is for now. But this is the idea. We have a menu on the title screen with some values. We loop over them, we select one of them. That'll all be straightforward, and then we'll launch the appropriate game mode in here somewhere. But we can sort that out later. I really only plan to get the math thing done tonight, so spend a little time thinking about this menuing stuff and this animation stuff and this cursor movement stuff before I get too deep into any of that. So I guess I'll call that there for the night. I didn't mean it. Oh well, whatever. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll call that for the night. So thanks for hanging out, guys, and we will see you again probably in a day or two. I think I'll take another crack at this. Have a good night. See y'all later.